Hi, folks. How you doing out there in internet land? My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome to a special Monday afternoon edition of Chattin on the Porch. We are on Rumble. We are on YouTube. We normally would be on Twitter, but apparently I've got some kind of a problem right now. I think I know what it is. I'll have this thing straightened out at some point in the near future. I am known as the Front Porch Conservative for those of you who are just seeing this for the very first time. I am sometimes known as the beau in the chapeau, the fine fella in the fedora, the wise guy in the wide brim, the common man with common sense, but above all else, I am known as your host. As I say, we're on Rumble, we are on YouTube. Most of the time we're on Twitter, but we'll fix that at some point. Anyway, welcome to a very special Monday afternoon edition of Chattin' on the Porch. If you've never been on the electronic front porch before, let me tell you some things about us and myself. I'm a guy who works a regular job. I do some live streaming for fun, and for the past year or so, I've been building a nice little community here on social media. We're trying to grow these channels, so if you are not a subscriber to my channels on Rumble and YouTube, please do me a very big favor. Go ahead and subscribe. We genuinely appreciate it on both Rumble and YouTube. Send out the link to your friends. Tell them to get in here. We're going to do our best to get together, hang out, and have some fun this afternoon. This is going to be a great joy for me. Like I say, this is the very first time I get to do this particular show in the afternoons. And, of course, my computer, right before I go on, goes, belly up on me as far as like all the tabs that I had worked so hard to put together before we get this thing started. Poof! My computer decides to freeze up. I lose everything. So we're going to kind of be doing some of this on the fly, but that's okay. You're in the hands of a somewhat experienced broadcaster, and we'll see what we can do about making all this happen. But anyway, we're glad to have you here. Like I say, my name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. This is known as Chattin' on the Porch. Normally, we do this live stream Monday through Thursday night, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we get together, we talk about the news, we give our opinions, we have a whole lot of fun doing it. Because of the Republican National Convention, and I was able to obtain time off from work to be able to sit down for it, we're going to be able to do a live stream in the afternoons. My plan right now is to do a live stream 2 o'clock every afternoon, maybe run for a couple hours or so, talking about the stuff going on in the news. And at 7 p.m. Eastern, this Monday through Thursday night, I will be live stream covering the Republican National Convention. I'm hoping that various friends of mine are able to stop in. I'm almost pretty sure my good buddy Reuben Christopher Haynes is going to be available. We'll see. My good buddy out of Texas, Darius Simpson, is going to be here on the 18th. So we're going to have a various and interesting cast of characters. We'll see who's able to show up. I've got an invite out to another buddy of mine. I'm not going to drop any names at this point. But we'll see what happens. So you're going to get my mug on front of your computer screen or on your phones pretty much all week. So you better get used to this pretty face. Anyway, glad to have you all here. Like I say, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please do so on Rumble and YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. And we will be talking about everything. So let's see who all's here so far. Miss Tiny Tesla's in the house. Good afternoon, ma'am. Glad to have you here. M169, how you doing? Good to see you. And hello, Fedora. Yes, by the way, if you're, as I said, if you're not familiar with what we do here, we are known as Fedora Nation. We are a group of newsies, as I like to call ourselves. And we get together and we talk about the news. We give our opinion. We sometimes laugh about it. We cry. We hold each other, in the embrace like we did Saturday night. And that was, like I said, Saturday night's live stream after the attempted assassination on former President Trump was as much about therapy for me as it was anybody else. We, like most live streamers, we went live Saturday night after what happened and trying to pass along information as we could find it, trying to pass along various things as we could come up with them. So it was a good time for all of us. But we're glad you're here this afternoon. And as we come on the air, there are a couple of very interesting pieces of news that we definitely need to talk about. Now, a couple of these are from earlier this morning, but they are huge in terms of their impact. One of them is something that relates to a major thing's been going on for now the better part of a year. And I don't know if anybody here has had the chance to see this or hear about it yet, but if you haven't, we'll gladly talk about it. And that is from NBC News, Florida judge dismisses the Trump classified documents case. Judge Eileen Cannon handed down her decision on Monday in a big win for the former president. Reading a little bit further into this, an article written by Daniel Barnes, Tom Winter, and Dara Gregorian, we have the following. The Florida judge overseeing Donald Trump's classified documents trial dismissed the case against the former president on Monday on the grounds that the appointment of and the funding for special counsel Jack Smith was illegal. U.S. District Judge Eileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, said in her 93-page ruling that Smith's appointment was unlawful and unconditional. Quote, the clerk is directed to close this case, the judge wrote. The decision came on the first day of the Republican National Convention and following an assassination attempt on the former president over the weekend. Trump praised the ruling in a statement that referenced Saturday's shooting and said other criminal cases against him should be tossed as well. A source who spoke directly with the president said that he was surprised but very happy by Judge Cannon's decision. Okay, let's talk about this for a little while, shall we? Okay, if you're not familiar with this case, the case was brought by special counsel Jack Smith, or as we lovingly refer to him here on the electronic front porch, Jack Boot. So old Jack Boot brought this case down in Miami, and basically what it all revolves around, just to kind of get everybody back up to speed if you're not familiar with it. When President Trump left the White House in January 2021, he took with him certain documents. That's not unusual. Departing presidents from the Oval Office and from the residence will take things with them. No big shock there. Well, starting in about April of 2022, a back and forth took place between the National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA as it's commonly called, and former President Trump's office down at Mar-a-Lago. NARA kept saying, well, you got documents that you shouldn't have. Trump said, look, come down here, let's talk about it, yada, yada, yada. You talk to my lawyers, I'll talk to your lawyers, we'll work this thing out. Well, they come down there probably about a month or so before the infamous raid in August of 2022, and they, talk things over. Everything's going fine. Yeah, perfectly working out. No problem. Come August 2022, the FBI raids Mar-a-Lago. In now probably one of the most infamous events that took place in the past 4 years, for the first time in the recorded history of the American Republic, a law enforcement agency of the federal government raided a former president's home. And when I say home, they were going through various rooms of the house, including but not limited to former President Trump's wife's private bedroom and former President Trump's youngest son, Barron, his room at Mar-a-Lago, among various other places they're checking out. Well, out of these documents comes an indictment handed down by Jack Boot in a Miami court saying, well, the president took documents he never should have taken. He has no right to these. He's in violation of the Espionage Act and various other things. But there was one very unique problem with old Jack Boot's appointment. And that is, no one could quite find a record of how it was that he came to be appointed special counsel. Now, if you're wondering how he got the title, basically Merrick Garland just appointed him to it. Problem with that is it's in violation of statute. A special counsel must be appointed by Congress. Well, the Congress never appointed this guy. Merrick Garland just took it on himself to name the guy, and just everybody rolls on down the road. Well, fast forward to June, to the first part of this month, when the Supreme Court handed down their decision in U.S. versus Trump, Justice Thomas wrote a concurring opinion. Most people didn't pay attention to it. They're paying a great deal of attention to the question of presidential immunity. But Justice Thomas wrote, how do I want to put this? a breadcrumb opinion. Now, what do I mean by breadcrumb? Well, basically, without coming out and saying how to do it, Justice Thomas sort of gave a roadmap for how you could make the argument that Special Prosecutor Jack Smith was unlawful in his position. Well, sure enough, Judge Cannon read that concurring opinion, and voila, the whole case is dismissed. Now, the implications off of this are kind of interesting, all right? And one of them is this. And this is the question that I've got. Now, of course, Judge Cannon's decision is probably going to be appealed. I mean, I'll be shocked if it's not. Okay, this will go up to the 11th Circuit, which is the full circuit that covers Florida, Georgia, and a handful of other states, right? But assuming that her decision to dismiss this case stands, then here's the question that I've got. If a federal judge rules that special counsel or special prosecutor Jack Smith has his position without lawful authorization and appropriation from the Congress, then what does that do to the D.C. documents case, or to the D.C. case on the question of January 6th, which is right in front of Judge Chattin right now? Does that mean that case is dismissed? Well, we don't know. We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens here, but it is a huge piece of news. So, thought I'd get into a discussion about that one with you. And we have something else, and this one's pretty big. This is the one that I've been waiting for quite a while now. Like I said, and I apologize to you folks who are coming here for the very first time. Normally, I have this stuff all pulled up, ready to go. It's all nice and pretty and everything else. Well, like I said, it was about 5 minutes to go, and my computer just decided to totally freeze up. Had to reboot it, and I crossed my fingers saying, oh, please, God, please let it pull up all the tabs. Nope. Everything. Lost it all. But I think I generally know where I was going with it. And we're going to try and soldier on through this. Now, and before I get to my second piece of huge news, we have to wait and see on the DC case, but the Florida case, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you completely. That case never even should have been brought as far as I was concerned. So, toss that one. Now here's where they stand. Florida case, tossed. Case in front of Judge Chattin up in D.C., pending, where they're going to go with it. Georgia case on hold, pending that, what are we going to do with Fannie Willis? Should she be tossed from this thing? Should she not? We don't know. The only case of any major consequence at this point is in Manhattan in front of Judge Juan Marchand, or as we lovingly call him, Don Juan Marchand. And Don Juan Marchand is set to make a decision in September about whether or not they need to toss that case, which we can get into that tomorrow in more detail. And like I say, if you're coming here for the very first time, I apologize to you because I'm going to kind of be doing this on the fly. Like I say, normally I've got this whole beautiful string of tabs over here on my computer. And, it's just nice and pretty and all ready to go and all that good stuff. So, I'm kind of doing this winging it. So, and I hate that because I was hoping to come out of the gate, first afternoon of doing, my live stream like this and just hoping to come out of the gate, just, have a banger of a show. Well, technology sometimes trips me up, as people will tell you. Now, this one's not a boomer moment, by the way. I did not boomer this one. This is not my doing. Unfortunately, technology just got the better of me here. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Okay. Another big piece of news that has come up, and I need you guys in the audience, give me a sound check on this. Let me know if we're okay. Probably about 2 hours ago, maybe a little longer, Brett Baer of Fox News broke this piece of interesting information. So do me a favor, folks. Check this out. Let's see what we got to say. And now that was a boomer moment.
that this would have implications for other cases. He did confirm.
Hang on, folks. The technology done let me down again. Give me a second here. Oh, come on. You've got to be kidding me. All right, here we go. There we are. Oh, we did have sound. Well, maybe we're not going to have sound. Hang on a minute. Let me just make sure about this. Let's try this one more time. Okay, let me get this set back up. Okay. Folks, do me a favor. Check out my I say my friend. Yeah, like Brett Baer knows who I am. Anyway, Brett Baer from Fox News. Here we go.
The questioning in the Supreme Court on this very issue about the special counsel, but seemed to indicate that he thought that this would have implications for other cases. He did confirm that he's going to make a VP choice today, and he said, Brett, there's other surprises to come. So,
okay, folks, we're about to find out who Trump's naming for the Veep. I have heard, although not confirmed, thank you very much. I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you for bearing with me through my technological issues. I have heard the announcement will be made around 4:30 today. If we are still on at that point, then by all means, we will cover it. Okay. And even though I am technologically hamstrung at this point, I think even I can work my way through 2.5 hours of talking. Believe me, I was trying to get a date one. Never mind. It's a whole other story. So anyway, we're going to have an announcement on the Veep. And there are rumors flying around fast and furious at this point. I know who I'm pulling for. And if you are a regular on this show, you will know who that is. Let's see. I just got a message from Ruben Christopher Haynes, the great one himself. Trump is announcing the Veep today. Yes, sir, he is. We don't know who it is yet, but we know the announcement is coming. I'm just checking messages. Just seeing what else is out there right now. So yeah. Okay, at this point, nothing further. Okay, we do have an update on one piece of news. Hang on. Now, just to give you an idea of what's going on, this has got to be one of the more interesting ways to have a vice presidential candidate. But we have news, at least that I can share with you, and I will put this up here. Give me 1 second. According to Reuters, Senator Marco Rubio has been told he will not be Trump's running mate. Again, this is coming from Reuters. And he has been told he will not be Trump's running mate. Again, this broke just about half an hour ago. So Rubio is saying that Rubio has been told he's not going to be Trump's running mate, according to sources. And again, this is coming from Reuters. So there you go. So that leaves, it's basically down to 3 people, at least 2 people that I've heard. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and U.S. Senator J.D. Vance. And yeah, I saw the same thing earlier today, my dear. Vance left his house in Cincinnati with a motorcade to accompany it. Now, there, like I say, we are at that point. We are at that point where rumors are running rampant everywhere. Okay, I've heard rumors, and again, and by the way, y'all, for those of you who are here for the first time, oh, okay. Well, now, folks, I said we're going to be covering the convention. Here is one of the people that hopefully he's able to make it. I asked him last minute, and Christian, I apologize to you. The only reason that you got the last minute invite along with everybody else is because I kept waiting for the RNC to put out the schedule of the speakers. I knew the general format, but it's like, come on, guys, give me something specific here. I need to know what's going on. And that and my life's been crazy, so apologies. But dude, if you're able to pop in for this, I'd love to have you. And if you can't do it, I understand too. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the quality of commentary you get on the electronic front porch. You get someone of the caliber of Christian Watson, which, by the way, if you folks are here for the first time, we also have some more. We also have some more rumor. Oh, not rumors, but because I know Christian, he does not engage in rumor mongering. He's not a rumor monger. Also, Burgum and Rubio not the pick according to reports. Okay, that's interesting. So, all right, and again, we'll see. It's like I said, supposedly it's 4:30 today is when the announcement gets made. Like I said, if we are on the air, we will. Well, if we're still here at 4:30, which I think we will be, maybe. But if we aren't, what's one thing? If we are, and then there were two. But yeah, this is going to be a fun week, folks. Strap in. And frankly, after what happened this weekend, we need something to take our minds off it just a little bit. Not to say a lot, but a little bit. I mean, we're going to talk about some of that today. And like I said, I really wish my computer had not gone belly up on me before I went on the show, because I had a whole beautiful string of things to talk about. But we can still get into it. Not a problem. So we've got a vice presidential announcement at 4:30 today. If I'm still live streaming at that point, we will go straight to it, because I'm dying to hear who this is going to be. This is going to get real interesting. Real interesting. All right. Folks, let's talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room. The attempted assassination of former President Donald John Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania on Saturday. Like I said, if you're here for the very first time and you're trying to figure out what is this guy in the hat all about, well, give you a little background, then I'll go on to explain how I'm going to talk about this. If you're not familiar with me, because this is probably the first time I'm doing this in the afternoon, such as it is, I am a fellow who is a child of talk radio. My heroes were G. Gordon Liddy, the legendary Rush Limbaugh, a whole bunch of other people, okay? So that's sort of the format and the style, the flavor that I bring to what I do. And that's, some people like that cup of tea and some people don't. And if not, that's perfectly fine. That's the beauty of social media. There's a little bit of everything out there for everybody. And hopefully I can attract a very large audience and you guys want to hang around and we have fun together and talk about stuff. So that's the flavor that I come to it with this. And in trying to figure out how and what to talk about, that's what we were doing Saturday. I mean, I do a live stream on Saturday morning known as Front Porch Brunch, and I hadn't planned on streaming for the whole rest of the day. And then all of a sudden, I get a text from my friend Darius Simpson out of Texas saying, "Hey, someone just took a shot at Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania." Then got a phone call from a family member of mine saying, "Hey, you got to get on this thing. Find out what's going on and call me back." I'm like, okay. And this was around 6:15. And the shot went out at 6:11. Okay. And this is the second time in my life that a president of the United States, be it former or current, that someone had tried to take their life. My mother, who I still have the blessing of having in my life, is old enough to remember the assassination of John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the assassination of Robert Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., the attempt on Reagan's life in 1981, and now July 13th, 2024, when someone took a shot at Donald Trump. And as quickly as I could gather together information, I did, and then I went on my live stream. And like I said, part of that was just pure old therapy for me, and hopefully it was therapy for everybody else who was here. M169 was here. Christian was able to come along later in the evening. Tiny Tesla was able to come along, and some others who aren't here right now. Regulars on the channel, be it on YouTube or on Rumble. And I was very gracious and very happy to have their presence because, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I come here, I try and do well, the technical term for it these days is podcast. I call it broadcast because that's the language that I'm most familiar with. And we hung out together for a couple hours and just talked our way through it, gathered information, shared it with each other, etc., and so on. And there was a loss of life. There was a 50-year-old former fire department chief lost his life. There were 2 other people who were injured. And there was a shot taken at the former president. Now, I don't know if you're watching this live stream for the very first time and you're just getting familiar with me. I don't know what your beliefs in a higher power or belief in God. If you have a belief in God, maybe you're atheist, maybe you're agnostic. I don't know. For my part, the fact that Donald Trump is alive right now is purely and simply divine intervention. There's just no other way for me to say it. To give you an idea, and I'm going to do my best to find this as fast as I can while I'm talking here, to give you an idea of how close Donald Trump came to death, and I'm working my way down my list of saved tweets to show this to you. So give me 1 second here. To give you an idea of just how close Donald Trump was to dying, it wouldn't have taken much more. Here it is. I just found it. I'm going to show you something, and then I'm going to play something. Okay? What I've got here, and somebody put this together, you're going to hear the shot at normal speed, 1 time speed, and 2 times speed. Now, let me put this up on screen. Now, before we play this, I want to show you this on the right, okay? This, let me enlarge it just a little bit if I can, just for this moment. Yeah. This was Donald Trump's head position just before the shot came through. On the bottom down here is Donald Trump's head position as the bullet went by. Now, why am I showing you that? Well, it's to tell you this. The reason that I'm saying that Donald Trump is alive by divine intervention, in that moment when the bullet passed by, Donald Trump did something that, by his own admission, he never does. And here's one of our regulars on the channel, Mr. Zippy. Zippy, no, I'm not still on from Saturday night, you lunatic. Look, I'm good. I ain't that good, baby. I mean, like that old country song, I ain't as good as I once was. That's for daggone sure. Ain't no way that I'm going from 9 o'clock on Saturday night to right now, you lunatic. No, I went live at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to be doing that all week. Okay. Monday through Thursday this week, I'm going to be doing live streams starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then coming back at 7 o'clock in the evening for the RNC. But Donald Trump did something in that moment before the bullet went by that he never does. And that's by his own admission, by the way. Okay. Normally, when Trump turns, he turns his whole body. Okay. In this 1 split second, as opposed to turning his body, he turned his neck. Just like this. Like you and I would do without giving it a second thought. Now, why he does that, I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily a physiological issue, or anything like that. That's just his custom. He turns his whole body. In this case, he turned his neck. Now, let me enlarge that again. You see that red line right there? If Trump does not turn his head, you've got JFK too. Because he turned his head, that bullet grazed his ear. Now, I'm going to run this. This runs about 30 seconds. Check this out.
We see something that said, take a look at what happened. He sees
Now, here's 5 times speed.
something that said, take a look at what happened.
All right, one more time. And this is the slowest speed of them all.
And take a look what happened.
There's the head turn. Right there. And then there goes the If Donald Trump doesn't do that head turn, he's dead. So like I said, if you're here for the very first time and you're coming to this live stream, you probably don't know a lot about me, but I do believe in God. And I do believe that God intervenes in the affairs of men. And absolutely, I have not an ounce of doubt in my mind. Donald Trump is alive today by divine intervention. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to minimize the fact that a man lost his life and 2 other people are injured. Not in any way, shape, or form. I pray for their families. I pray for the individuals who are still alive but injured. But honestly, absent that head turn, Donald Trump would have been the second fatality in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, that said, that gets us to a few other things. I don't know about you guys, and I don't know how I would react if I had been shot by a bullet, okay? I really don't. I have no idea how I would have reacted. But by all accounts, the next day, Donald Trump did something that he would otherwise normally do. And given what happened to him, it's shocking that he did it. I'm trying to find this real fast. And like I said, I had everything put up and ready to go. And then all of a sudden my computer just went, no, not so much. Donald Trump, here it is. The original plan, which by and large, even after what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, still was carried out. What? You got to be kidding me. That's crazy. I have no restriction on it. But yeah, that's got to be a YouTube thing. Got to be. The original plan was for Donald Trump to do the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, and then from there fly back to Bedminster, New Jersey at his golf club, not golf club, but his the club that he owns, overnight there, and then go on to Milwaukee for the convention. Along in flight, he would be doing an interview with the legendary reporter Selena Zito. By the way, that interview still took place. You want to hear a fascinating story about Trump? This ought to give you some insight into the man. I was listening to Glenn Beck's program this morning, and Selena was on with Glenn talking about everything that happened, because she was 4 feet away from the stage when the shots rang out. The next morning, now check this out. The next morning, Donald Trump called Selena Zito and said, first of all, are you, your daughter, and your son-in-law and your friend, are the 4 of you okay? She said, yes, Mr. President, we're fine. Selena Zito then went on to state, Donald Trump apologized to her for what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. She said, look, I know we were going to do the interview. I'm sorry. And she said, Mr. President, someone took a shot at you, you're good. It's like, you're good. It really, don't worry about it. But Trump yesterday morning went golfing. Now, like I said, I have no idea how I would have reacted had someone just taken a shot at me and I'd lived through it. Okay. And maybe this was Trump's, way of working out what was going on in his head. Okay. But Trump went golfing. I've never been to Bedminster, New Jersey, but from what I understand, it's a beautiful golf course. I've seen pictures of it like everybody, but I've never been there. I have no idea. Well, there's a fascinating story that's told. Now, whether it's true or not, don't know. But you know what? I'm willing to give it benefit of the doubt. And I'll share it with you just to give you an idea. If this is true, this is classic Donald Trump. Okay? Now, this is told by a caddy at Bedminster. And I must have posted it somewhere on Reddit or someplace out there on social media. Talking about Trump's round today. The author of this says, I'm a cart boy at Trump Bedminster, where Trump played today just about 16 hours after getting nearly assassinated. He was in good spirits, which was great. He took time to talk with a lot of us on the staff. He even allowed us to follow him for a little bit. There was a decently big group with him. Anyway, I was about to watch him putt on the 9th green. He had about a 20-footer with a 2-foot break. And sure enough, he drains it, turns around and says, difference between me and the shooter, I don't miss. Oh, God. Now, I have told this story to 2 different people before I shared it with you guys. Okay. And both of these people said, I really don't think you ought to be saying something like that. I was like, well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but we're talking about Donald Trump. Now, like I say, do I know for a fact this is true? No, I don't. Could I absolutely see Donald Trump saying something like this? Absolutely. It's like, yeah, unlike the shooter, I don't miss. It's like, oh, Jesus. But that's Trump. So he took the golf game, but one of the other things that he did, which I thought was very important, and frankly something that needed to happen, and I want to read from some of this, because Trump gave an interview with the legendary reporter from the New York Post, Michael Goodwin. And by the way, if you're not reading Michael Goodwin, then what the heck are you doing? Mike Goodwin is one of the last of the really good writers. He's got that old school flavor to him that a guy like me really appreciates. I mean, like I say, for those of you who are just coming to my live stream for the first time, I grew up on reading William F. Buckley Jr. and Art Buchwald and Thomas Sowell, a whole bunch of legendary conservative writers, okay? And not just conservatives either. I mean, I was reading Michael Kinsley, just a bunch of different cats. Okay, so I got a love and appreciation for old school journalism. Okay, occasionally I'd come across a column from Studs Terkel, the great writer from Chicago. But Michael Goodwin is a fabulous writer. He writes for the New York Post. If you're not reading his stuff, you really need to. And I want to read in its entirety this article, because I think this is something the nation needs to hear. Headline: the title of it is "Grateful and Defiant Trump Recounts Surviving Surreal Assassination Attempt at Rally. I'm supposed to be dead." Again, this is by Michael Goodwin, and we've got the following. A grateful and at times defiant Donald Trump told the Post Sunday he's supposed to be dead as he recalled the harrowing moment that a would-be assassin shot at him at a Pennsylvania campaign rally. The former president shared the very surreal experience that nearly ended his life during an interview aboard his private plane en route to Milwaukee for the GOP National Convention. So this would have been sometime Sunday afternoon, because Trump overnighted in Bedminster, got up Sunday morning, went and played golf, kind of work out the cobwebs, and then flew from Bedminster to Milwaukee, which, by the way, I've got a tweet from Trump. I may show it later, but one of the things that he said about his decision to go on to Milwaukee, and I thought this is probably, no, it's not probably, it is. It's very admirable, and I think also speaks to the character of the man. He said, I'm not going to let, and this is in his Truth Social post, I am not going to let some shooter cause me to change what I'm going to do. I'm going to Milwaukee. Now, not that defiant. I'm being a little bit generous with the interpretation. But that is basically what he said. I'm not going to let some shooter change my plans. I'm going to Milwaukee as scheduled. We're going to keep on doing what we're doing. Yeah. Anyway, moving on with this. Quote, the doctor at the hospital said he'd never seen anything like this. He called it a miracle, said Trump, who was sporting a large, loose white bandage that covered his right ear. His staff insisted that no photos be taken. Quote, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to be dead, Trump said. I'm supposed to be dead. And these are some pictures from the event. This image right here, and one of my regulars on the channel, Gypsy, made the statement, this image is about as iconic as the Marines landing on Iwo Jima and lifting the flag up. I can't disagree with that. I really can't. Anyway, moving on down with some other pictures. And back to the article. Trump said he would be if he had not turned his head slightly to the right to read a chart on illegal immigrants. At that instant, what would have been a kill shot tore off a small piece of his ear and splattered blood on his forehead and his cheek. Trump said that as Secret Service agents led him off the stage, he still wanted to continue speaking to supporters, but the agents told him it wasn't safe and they had to get him to a hospital. He marveled at how the agents came flying in like linebackers as soon as the shooting started, and he unbuttoned his long-sleeve white shirt to show a large bruise on his white forearm. Trump also cleared up a mystery about his shoes. On the video of the shooting and the aftermath, as the burly agents tried to rush him off the stage for safety, he can clearly be heard saying, "Wait, I want to get my shoes." As he explained in the interview, the agents hit me so hard, my shoes fell off, and my shoes are on pretty tight, he said with a smile. He commended the Secret Service personnel for their heroic actions and praised them for gunning down the shooter, who was perched on a roof about 130 yards from the stage where Trump was speaking. And we'll try to get into a little bit more of that here in a minute. Here's some more images. This one is, oh my goodness, just as equally iconic. There's another image of it. Just remember, folks, the difference between this man's death and the fact that he's walking around alive right now, one very slight head turn. That's it. We're going to get into that. If we're not going to get into it today, we're getting into this because there are a bunch of questions, Zippy, related to all this that make not an ounce of sense to me. They don't. And there needs to be, look, you guys know me, and I'm just going to, before we get back to the article, I'll get to this right now. You guys know me. I am no conspiracy theorist. Okay? I do my best as a host to stay away from that sort of thing. But there's a whole bunch of commonsensical questions that need to be answered that right now don't have any. Because none of this should have ever happened. Now, I can just hear folks on the political left out there watching this live show going, well, yeah, of course it shouldn't have happened. The guy had a shot taken. No, 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 no. Even on less than the best day for the Secret Service, none of this stuff should have happened. I'm like Zippy. Why were there 3 or 4 different roofs that had nobody on top of them? Among other questions that need to be asked and answered. Anyway, back to this article. Get past some of these other pictures. Anyway, back to it from Michael Goodwin's article in the New York Post. Quote, they took him out with one shot right between his eyes, the former president said as he pointed to the bridge of his nose. They did a fantastic job. It's surreal for all of us. Trump also addressed the incredible photo of him raising his fist and saying, fight, 3 times as the agents try to get him off the stage and into an armored SUV. Quote, a lot of people say it's the most iconic photo they've ever seen. They're right, and I didn't die. Usually you have to die to have an iconic picture. Oh, jeez. He added, I just wanted to keep speaking, but I had just gotten shot. The doctor at the local hospital, which has a trauma center, told him he'd never seen anyone survive getting hit by an AR-15, Trump recalled. By luck or by God, many people are saying it's by God that I'm still here, Trump said. One man at the rally was shot and killed and 2 were wounded. Asked if he had given any thought to attending the funeral of Corey Comportori, my apologies if I'm mispronouncing that, obviously I am. The firefighter who died shielding his family from the killer's gunfire, Trump said yes. Then turning to aides standing beside him, he said, get me their numbers. I want to go to the hospital and call all the families. Dang. Trump also praised the crowd at the rally, which he put at about 55,000, for remaining calm. Quote, a lot of places, especially soccer games, you hear a single shot, everybody runs. Here there were many shots and they stayed. He added, I love them. They are such great people. And this is a picture of the gentleman who is said to have fired the shots. Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 years old. U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham spent much of the flight talking to Trump and found his optimism unbelievable. Quote, he feels like he has a new lease on life, Graham said. There's already some proof of that, as Trump related that his brush with death had changed his mind about the speech he will give Thursday to accept his party's nomination for a 3rd consecutive time. Quote, I had all prepared an extremely tough speech, really good, about the corrupt, horrible administration. Then he suddenly added, but I threw it away. He said a new speech was in the works because I want to try and unite our country. Folding his arms, he added, I don't know if that's possible. People are very divided. Was it a matter of tone, I asked? Or were there policy changes he had in mind? The policy differences, Trump suggested, are the stumbling block. Some people want open borders, some don't. Some want men to be able to play on women's soccer teams, and others don't. Still, he said, he remains convinced that success will unite the country, though he didn't otherwise define what that success would entail. Trump said he appreciated the call from President Biden, calling it fine, and that Biden was very nice. He suggested, without offering specifics, that the campaign between the two of them could be more civil from now on. He also said that we hear that Biden will order the Department of Justice to drop its 2 prosecutions of Trump. So far, there's no sign of that. The interview, which included Byron York of the Washington Examiner, lasted more than 30 minutes and concluded as the plane sat on the tarmac after landing in Milwaukee. At one point, a video of the shooting flashed on a very large TV screen over my shoulder, which was tuned to CBS and was facing Trump. Watching him as he watched the big screen, I could see he was riveted, and he said this was the first time he had watched the 2-minute segment. More than once he shook his head as if disturbed by seeing how close he came to death. Regarding the campaign, Trump said he is confident he's on a path to victory. When I mentioned how the gambling odds had shifted overnight in his favor, he knew the numbers, saying that he was given an 85% probability of victory by one odds maker. He asked York and me what we thought would be more important to voters in the long run, Biden's collapse at the first debate or the assassination attempt. He didn't give his own opinion, but acknowledged that the debate was continuing to divide Democrats about whether Biden should be the nominee, and that Saturday's shooting would almost certainly compound the swing in his favor as voters absorbed it. And this is a picture of Corey Caporatore, the father who died on Saturday. All true, but I believe there is still a need for him to close the sale with many people who remain immune to his appeal. Those who have tuned him out have missed the ways in which he has run a far more disciplined campaign than the first two. He has been especially careful about trying to curb the power on the abortion issue, which Dems see as one of their prime advantages since the Supreme Court overturned Roe. In response, Trump has said he will not support legislation imposing a national ban and changed the GOP platform to reflect his belief that whatever limits voters in each state decide, there should be exceptions for rape, incest, and the health of the mother. Trump also was smart in the last 2 weeks as Dem tore into Biden after the debate disaster. Instead of injecting himself, he wisely stayed on the sideline, following an ancient adage, when your opponent is committing suicide, get out of the way. And yet the polls have remained stubbornly close, with some surveys actually giving Biden a small lead nationally. Oddly, that makes Trump's aim to give a more unifying speech Thursday all the more essential. Many voters will be watching to see how the assassination attempt affected him. He won't get a better chance to show them that he wants to be a part of the solution and help close the horrible polarization that threatens to destroy the nation. One speech, of course, won't bring a miracle, but if he follows through on his instinct to make the start of a new, more civilized and smarter campaign, he'll pull off a twofer. It would help him in his quest to recapture the White House and also help put our great but troubled America back on track for a glorious future. Maybe this is why you were spared, Mr. President. Go for it. That's a great art. That's a great column by Michael Goodwin. And by the way, as is normally my custom, I will drop this in chat on both the Rumble and YouTube side. So give me 1 second here, folks. If you want to read this, feel free to do it at your convenience, but I definitely want to get this out here for you. So like I said, we just read Michael Goodwin's column from the New York Post. And if you're here for the very first time, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This live stream is known as Chattin on the Porch. Normally, we do this Monday through Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. But where we're doing the convention coverage this week, we're going to be doing a special series of Chattin on the Porch Monday through Thursday this week, 2 p.m. Eastern. Okay. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm very excited. I mean, today being a little bit of an exception because of the computer glitch that happened earlier. But, you know, ever since I started doing social media, or more particularly this particular format, the live stream format, it's been kind of one of my dreams that maybe someday this thing gets good enough and big enough that I can just come here in the afternoons and sit down with you guys, talk about some of the stuff going on, give you my take on it. Get your take on it, make it very interactive, have a lot of fun, and do what some of my heroes are doing right now, and I won't necessarily drop names because I don't want to embarrass them, but you probably can imagine who they might be. So the fact that I'm getting to do this week, in the middle of the afternoon, hanging out with you guys, I'm not going to lie, this is kind of exciting for me. I've been looking forward to this particular week, not just because of the RSA, but because of this, what I'm doing right now. I've been looking forward to this for the longest time. So I'm glad to have you guys here. If you're not a subscriber to my channel on YouTube or Rumble, please, please, please give me a sub. Also, give me a thumbs up on both Rumble and YouTube. Believe me, it helps out with the algorithm. And where I'm doing this for the first time at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, this is no doubt going to scramble YouTube around for me, but that's okay. YouTube needs to be scrambled around among many other things that need to be done with it. Anyway, so that's who I am. That's what we're doing. We're hanging out, talking about some of the news that's going on and trying to catch up with everybody on everything. And I'm trying to see if there's any other pieces of... Oh, gosh, hang on a minute. Oh, wow, hang on a minute. Sorry, folks. I just got something tagged on Twitter. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Gypsy, you got it. We'll do this. I mentioned one of my regulars here on the show is on social media. She's known as Black Pill Gypsy, and she just sent something to me. Let me respond to this real fast. Okay, there we go. All right, just seeing what other news might be out there real quick about the Veep selection, seeing if anybody's hearing anything. So give me 1 second here. No, okay, not yet. I mean, right now, I'm just checking out one more thing, folks. Hang on a second. Because right now, like I said, rumors are flying around fast and furious. Okay, I'm seeing a name, but I don't know if this has been released yet. So I am not going to say anything. Not yet, anyway. Okay, I'm not saying anything yet. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to tease you guys. I'm just trying to be as fair in this as I possibly can be. So when I've got it, like I said, the pick is supposed to happen here in about an hour and 30 minutes. And if we're still here talking, we'll go straight to it. Okay. So by the way, and this is part of the beauty of this live stream, if anybody has got a link to a live interview or an announcement or whatever, let me know. Okay. So anyway, that we've got going on. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. Now, so Trump, like I said, landed yesterday in Milwaukee. He's out there doing his thing. And I'm trying to find something real fast. He lands in Milwaukee, and there's some Air Force personnel that do something that I think is extraordinarily cool. Okay. Just amazingly cool. If I can, oh, here it is. I just found it. Okay. Hang on. I want to show you guys something. You know, it always cracks me up when it comes to Donald Trump, how much people say that the man is hated. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Trump's perfect. Lord knows he's not. Okay? Far from it. And by the way, on a side note, that's something that's always kind of, and I say this to myself as well, that's something that's kind of bothered me about modern American politics. We're looking for the perfect. Well, there's no such thing as a perfect presidential candidate. There's no such thing as a perfect president. There's no such thing as a perfect vice presidential candidate or vice president or a perfect senator or perfect congressman or congresswoman. As with all things in life, because of who we are as human beings, we are going to be frail and faulty in everything we do. You know, people sometimes ask me, why are you so high on Trump? Well, for those of you who've never been here before, I'll give you the story. No, and absolutely this is true. Absolutely this is true. I stand with Trump for the very same reason that Abraham Lincoln picked Ulysses Grant to head the Union Army. And before I get to that, Zippy over on Rumble with a Rumble rant, thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate it. Says, I don't even think it's about perfect. Just modern politics has become very petty and mundane. I'll agree with that. I absolutely agree with that, Zippy. And thank you again for the Rumble rant. It's greatly appreciated. The story goes that after the Union Army had suffered another defeat that made no sense whatsoever, okay, Lincoln was trying to decide who should lead the Northern Army, because Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson and all those boys from the Confederacy were absolutely whipping the Union Army from pillar to post, despite the fact that the Union Army had more men, they had better equipment, they had every advantage in the world except for a lack of good leadership. And then out of the West came word that General Ulysses Grant had forced the South into unconditional surrender at Vicksburg, Mississippi. Up to that point in the Civil War, it was unheard of. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had forced the South to surrender with no terms whatsoever. When Lincoln heard about what Grant had done, he turned to one of his aides and said, "Send word to General Grant. I want to talk to him. I just found my new commander of the Northern Army." The aide, according to the story, looked very nervous and said, "Well, Mr. President, we should advise you. General Grant is reputed to drink." Without batting an eye, Lincoln looked back at the aide and said, "Well, whatever he's drinking, go get a barrel of it and give it to every one of my generals. But in the meanwhile, go get me Grant. That man knows how to fight." That is why I support Trump. Because for the first time in a long time, I've got an American president that's fighting for me. Oh, wait, they've kept the country safe, relatively speaking. But for the first time, somebody's really looking out for the little guy. Me. The irony of it is, the guy who's looking out for the little guy is himself a billionaire from New York City. That's the part that cracks me up the most. Now, like I said, Donald Trump is far from perfect. Okay? There's a lot of things he does that drives me straight up the wall. There's a lot of things he did when he was president that made me crazy. But, compared to what we've got right now, I'll take Donald Trump every day and twice on Sunday. Now, with that said, there's a lot of people out there that love Donald Trump. You want some proof? Let me show you something pretty cool. This is Donald Trump disembarking his plane, having landed in Milwaukee. I want you to watch what a group of Air Force personnel do just off. Here's Trump coming down the runway, and this would be on Trump's 10 o'clock as he's coming down the ramp. I want you to watch this. Hello, Miss Gypsy. Good to see you, darling. Check this out. Now, Trump stops. He sees something in the distance, and he gives a fist bump. Now watch what he sees. Camera turn. I want to get back out there again. That's a group of Air Force personnel. That is a group of Air Force personnel, hands over hearts, and salutes to the president. I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are at all. That's just damn cool. Darling, you haven't missed much. By the way, for anybody that hasn't been here up to this point, this week, no, don't worry about it. You don't have to explain anything. You're good. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing live streams this week, Monday through Thursday, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. We're going to do the regular session of Chatting on the Porch. 7 p.m. Eastern, I'll be doing live stream coverage of the Republican National Convention. We're going to have some guests come in with me. I'm hoping for a bunch of other people too. And this is going to be a load of fun this week for me. I mean, don't get me wrong. My whole week is not going to be dominated by live streaming and politics. I will be taking time off from work, having fun. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. every night this week. Yep, that is correct. That's what we're hearing. That is what we're hearing. Hello, Ruben. You son of a gun, you old so-and-so. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not following Ruben Christopher Haynes on social media, he's got a channel on YouTube. Check him out. One of the smartest and coolest dudes coming or going these days. Ruben, hopefully he's going to be able to co-host with me a few nights this week anyway. Because I've been looking forward to this convention. This is going to be a load of fun. At least I think so anyway. Besides, think about it this way. Who would you rather watch? Guys like me, guys like Ruben, guys like Christian Watson, Darius Simpson, and others? Or would you rather watch network news? Those people are no fun whatsoever. We, on the other hand, are a crap pile of fun. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. Going to be an interesting week. Okay, Ruben's in. All right, cool. He is in. Oh yeah, Christian Watson's been on fire this week. And Zippy over on Rumble again with another Rumble rant. Thank you very much. As I see it, the mundane does not comprehend complexity to the point they get upset when things are complex. Modern man is so safe, he's become like a mad toddler. Interesting perspective. Very interesting. I can see a lot of that actually being very true. Very, very true. So yes, it's about, what is it right now? 10 minutes after 3. We are going to be here talking for a little while. Like I say, and for those of you who are just getting here, my computer absolutely did me dirty. Had all this beautiful string of tabs lined up to talk about stuff. And then just what happens to me? Computer freezes up. Lost every bit of it. So we're kind of doing this one on the fly. So, your patience with me is greatly appreciated. Now, I want to go back and analyze something from yesterday, and it's definitely worth talking about. There is, how do I want to put this? I want to go back and look at something from yesterday afternoon. Okay. Okay.
Last night.
All right. Hang on. Okay. Here we go. President Biden. Some people may be wondering, what the heck is he doing in the midst of all this? And that's a fair question. Because it doesn't matter who the president is, okay? In this case, it makes it for a very weird situation. Now, here's what I'm talking about, okay? This attempted assassination comes in the middle of a political campaign for the office of the president. You have two men, one who has been president and one who is president right now. And when I say has been president, keep in mind, Donald Trump is the immediate predecessor of Joe Biden. Okay? Your political opponent your political opponent had an assassination attempt taken on his life. Okay? How do you respond to that? What do you do? Okay? I'm going to say something that's probably going to shock some people who might watch this live stream right now. Okay? At this moment, and on the whole, Biden has responded what I consider to be reasonably well. Now, let me break down this phrase, because normally I don't try to parse my words too much. I'll always tell you what I think. God help you if you're not ready to hear it, but I'll tell you what I think. Notice I said, by and large, he's done reasonably well. We're going to analyze some of what he said because, you know, there's some things he said, and it's how he said it that really give me pause, which we'll get to that in a minute. And Zippy with another Rumble rant. Good Lord, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm very thankful, but dude, Zippy over on Rumble says, with a Rumble rant, have to give a shout out to my boy Indian Jesus. Also, modern academics and education is turning people into infants that need authority figures to tell them how to live. Yeah, Indian Jesus is a very cool dude. Latch he's all right. He's been on my channel. I've been on his channel. Genuinely good dude. Genuinely good dude. And yeah, oh, we'll get to this. We'll get to this. Oh, trust me, I haven't forgotten about this at all. Okay, not in the slightest. Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree with that. But there's one particular aspect of something that he said yesterday that I want to focus on. Okay. Now, Biden gave two press events yesterday related to the assassination attempt on former President Trump. And one of them was a brief, maybe 2.5-minute statement at the White House. Okay. Oh yeah. We'll get to that too. We'll get to that. Oh, there were certain things he did and just almost choked on it. That was one of them. But we'll get to that momentarily. I was watching this little 2-minute presser that he did, and in the background he had Vice President Kamala Harris, Attorney General Merrick Garland, and Department of Homeland Security Director, or Secretary, I should say, he's not a director, Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alexander Mayorkas. Okay. And Zippy with another Rumble rant. I missed a bunch of streams, so now I have to make it up somehow. Zippy, bless your heart. You don't have to make up anything. Don't get me wrong. I'm genuinely appreciative, but don't feel like you have to make up something with me somehow. I love you, brother. Regardless of whether you give a Rumble rant or not, I love you. Glad you're here with us and glad for everything you do for the channel. But bless your heart and thank you. So he's got all these folks behind him, Biden, that is. Now, you might wonder why it is that Mayorkas is there. Well, the Secret Service now falls under the jurisdiction of the Department of Homeland Security. It used to be for years they were part of the Treasury Department. And frankly, I'll make an argument they've been better served if they just stayed with the Treasury Department. So Mayorkas being there, you kind of understand. I want to play part of this because there's something that Biden says that is really giving me trouble right now. And I'll explain what it is here in a minute. So let me get this pulled up. This is from yesterday afternoon. The second event was later in the evening. Okay. So give me 1 second here. And here we go.
I spoke with Donald Trump. I'm sincerely grateful that he's doing well and recovering. And we had a short but good conversation. Jill and I are keeping him and his family in our prayers. We also extend our deepest condolences to the family of the victim who was killed. He was a father. He was protecting his family from the bullets that were being fired. And he lost his life. God love him. We're also praying for the full recovery of those who were injured. And we're grateful to the Secret Service agents and other law enforcement agencies and individuals who risked their lives literally for our nation. As I said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything.
Now, I'll give him this right now. Up to this point, not a problem with what he's saying. He's absolutely right. The problem comes here in a minute or two, so just hang on.
It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. We'll debate and we'll disagree. That's not going to change, but we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans. Look, Vice President Harris and I were just briefed in the Situation Room by my Homeland Security team, including the Director of the FBI, the Secretary of Homeland Security, the Attorney General, the Director of the Secret Service, my Homeland Security Advisor, the National Security Advisor, and we're going to continue to be briefed. The FBI is leading this investigation, which is still in its early stages. We don't yet have any information about the motive of the shooter. We know who he is. I urge everyone, please, don't make assumptions about his motives or his affiliations. Let the FBI do their job.
Hold it. Now, I was not going to bring up this point, but you know what? Since I'm now hearing this again, this deserves some commentary. Okay. Let's keep in mind, he's asking us. Hang on. It's out. Hold on. Hold on, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an announcement. Give me 1 second here. And this just might wind up. Let me pull this down real fast. Yep. Gypsy, I just saw it. I just saw it. Okay, hang on. Here it comes, folks. After lengthy deliberation and thought and considering the tremendous talents of many others, I have decided that the person best suited to assume the position of Vice President of the United States is U.S. Senator J.D. Vance of the great state of Ohio. J.D. served honorably our country in the Marine Corps, graduated Ohio State University in 2 years, summa cum laude, and is Yale Law School graduate. He was editor of the Yale Law Journal and president of the Yale Law Veterans Association. J.D.'s book, Hillbilly Elegy, became a major bestseller and a movie as a champion of the hardworking men and women across our country. J.D. has had a very successful business career in technology and finance, and now during the campaign will be strongly focused on the people he fought so brilliantly for, the American worker and the farmers of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Ohio, Minnesota, and beyond. Okay, let's get into this. I mean, let's do it. All right, there's the pick. Now, for those of you who are coming to my channel, okay, tell me why. Tell me why. And I am not trying to be confrontational. I'm not mad at you. You are at complete liberty to disagree with me. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I mean, for people who aren't happy about this, this is the electronic front porch. Come air what's on your mind. Okay, and we'll talk about this too. We'll talk about this too. I've got some thoughts on this. Okay. All right. Granted. I grant you that. Okay. All right. Like I say, I've got some thoughts on this whole thing too, but let me hear it from you guys. I'll give you my thoughts on the whole thing. But I mean, we are this is where we discuss things. Let's talk about it. It's out. Vance is the nominee. And by the way, I'm not going to say I had some insider knowledge on this, but I had kind of gotten wind of this over the weekend. And again, not that I've got any kind of insider sourcing on this, but there was a person, I'm not going to drop any names, who I know of, who's in the news business, and dropped some information that when I heard it, particularly coming from this person, kind of, well, that's probably true too. But nobody could really say anything officially until the announcement. Well, now it's out. Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm gonna for while everybody's dropping comments on this one, let's just get into it. Here is where I'm at on Vance, and with the understanding and the proviso, I've been burned before. I've been burned before by people, so I understand this going in. To me, and again, with the understanding I could be on my way to getting burned, but I pray to God I'm not. To me, JD could wind up being the successor to the leadership of the America First movement. Now, let me explain where I'm coming from in this. Some of you guys have heard me get into this before. For those of you who are coming to this live stream for the first time, I'll explain my reasoning. And it basically gets down to this. The Democrats are a lot of things, but the Democrats can read the clock. And when it comes to Donald Trump, a lot of them, I think, are resigned to the idea he's probably going to win a second term. And frankly, if I may say something to you Democrats out there, you guys would have been a whole lot better off politically if you'd have just let Donald Trump go ahead and win in 2020. Now you guys are running the risk of your political party going out into the wilderness for about a good 10 years. Okay? If you'd have just let Trump win in 2020, you could have done to him what you did to Reagan starting in 1989. You could have sold the American people on the idea Reagan wasn't all that important. He didn't accomplish a whole lot of different things. He really didn't make a difference in your lives. And you could have started memory shelving what Ronald Reagan was. Instead, when it came to Trump, you did the very reverse of that strategy. You reminded the American people of the good times they had economically and otherwise under his administration. And now when he comes back in, he's going to come back in with a whole lot more steam behind him than he would have otherwise. If you'd have just let it go in 2020, you could have started working on the American people in 2025, and you could start erasing Donald Trump's memory from the memory of the American people. But you didn't. But laying all that aside, the Democrats can look at the clock. They know Trump's got 4 years. And the announcement's out. The announcement is out. But the Democrats know they can look at the clock. They can say, all right, we're going to gum up the works. We'll slow him down. We'll slow down his nominees. We'll take him to court for everything he does. We'll just slow him down, and we'll take 4 years and slow walk his agenda. He might get some things done, but he won't get that much done. Which means that Trump, if he's going to have a legacy, really needs a successor, because the Democrats will do in 2025 what they did in 2021. unwind every executive order, and codify into law stuff that undoes everything Trump put into place, and put us right back to square one all over again. Unless Trump can put in a successor and help them get to the presidency in 2025. Now, you can make an argument, who should it be? Okay. Some people have said go with a Rubio, go with a Scott. You know, they're more conventional, they're recognized, they got name recognition, yada, yada, yada. Well, yeah, but would they be the same kind of conservative that Donald Trump is? Okay. This is where I think Vance and Trump are similar, albeit from different backgrounds. Now, this is an interesting point. Maybe it's that Vance's family makeup resembles my own. Hill folk, like his grandparents, I was raised off the same vibes. Could be. Could be. Now, here's my thing with Vance. And again, I understand. It is perhaps the distinct possibility that I'm about to be fooled again. It is possible. Okay? I understand. This guy could wind up burning me and burning millions of people. But if I'm going to get burned, it's because he'll have done a fantastic job snowballing me and people that I trust. Robert Barnes, Rich Barris, a slew of other people. Okay? So just I add that caveat. Not that excuses me as someone who gives their opinion to you guys about what I think. Okay? In the end, I am responsible for my judgment. I am responsible for what I say. I get it. Okay? But from everything I understand, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, when it comes to the issues, are just about like that. Now, they might say it differently, and they might implement their solutions differently, but as far as the core issues they agree on, they're there. This is not like Trump taking Mike Pence. Now, again, I understand. Vance could burn him down the road. And God forbid he does. But right now, everything that I know about J.D. Vance, everything I've heard about J.D. Vance makes me think, okay, this dude's pretty cool. Now, I want to address something. that Up in Connecticut brings up, and I've got the same criticism and worry, okay? This is a guy who just back in 2016 just absolutely had not a good thing to say about Donald Trump. I get it. Said some pretty nasty stuff, pretty hard-hitting stuff. I get it. And so did Glenn Beck. And so did Ted Cruz. And so did a whole host of other people who said, hey, I got this New York liberal Donald Trump wants to be president. He's trying to act like a conservative Republican. I'm not going to put up with this phony baloney nonsense. I'll tell you, I wanted Vance all along. I did. I wanted Vance the whole time. And that's part of why I'm going through my reasoning here. Yeah, I agree. Vance has said stuff that absolutely you sit there and you go, man, but there's what you think about Donald Trump before he becomes president. Then there's what you see him do. And then you sit there and you go, all right, maybe I was wrong about this guy. And perhaps that's where Vance is. Now, like I said, I could be getting burned here, but I'm willing to give the guy benefit of the doubt. Much like Glenn Beck, much like any number of different people, had his opinions about Trump before he became president, becomes president, sees what his policies actually wind up doing and says, maybe I was wrong about this guy. So we'll see. Now, getting back to what Vance could wind up doing. Think about this. Think about this. Imagine the possibility of 4 years of Donald Trump and a 4-year J.D. Vance presidency. I mean, look, I have always said, and this is for anybody who's been watching, maybe just coming to this live stream for the first time. I've said for the longest time, this is a generational election. Well, okay. Fair point. Fair point. This is a generational election. Men of Donald Trump's generation, men of Joe Biden's generation, this is it. I mean, yeah, you might have one more from one or the other party, but this is it. For the boomers, this is it. They're done. This is their last election. What comes up after this is Gen X, the millennials, etc., and so on. The baby boomers, this is their last run. Now comes the passing of the torch. In much the same way that the election of Bill Clinton in 92 brought about the baby boomers in control of the White House, that's what you got here. Maybe one election prior to it actually happening, but we're right on the edge of it. Okay? Right on the edge of it. Imagine what happens. Donald Trump gets in 2024. He endorses Vance in 28. Vance gets the nomination. Vance wins. And again, all this is pure speculation. I get it. But imagine what you get with 8 years of conservative populist governance of the executive branch. Heck, why stop there? Work from the assumption Vance were to get 2 terms. Holy cow. I mean, this could be the reverse of what we had with Reagan and Bush. Remember, you had 2 terms of Reagan and 1 of Poppy Bush. Okay, the Poppy Bush wasn't all that good, but look what potentially is setting up here. Supreme Court appointments, a reduction in the administrative state, taking a serious bite out of the deep state, potentially. I mean, it could all be right there to be had if Trump wins in 2024 and a lot of other things go down the line. And maybe that's what Trump is thinking about here. That's one part of his calculus. I think the other part of his calculus, purely and simply, is life insurance. And I mean, and I'm not original on this one at all. Okay? I'm not original about this at all in what I'm about to say next. But after what happened on Saturday, Trump's got to have some life insurance. Now, if you're coming to this stream for the first time and you're wondering what I'm talking about, let me make it real clear for you. Donald Trump needs somebody as vice president that basically would give the deep state, or anybody else for that matter, pause to consider trying an effort to remove him. Now, some of you who might be new, who are watching this live stream, go, "Oh, that's a little bit conspiratorial, don't you think?" No, not really. Not at all. If you don't think the deep state is capable of taking out an American president, go back and look at November 1963. Thank God. Thank God. It's about damn time. Now, again, for those of you who are watching this for the first time, you're wondering what the heck we're referring to here. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., up until today, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had no Secret Service protection whatsoever and had asked on more than one occasion of the Department of Homeland Security that he be given Secret Service protection. Well, up till today, he hadn't got it. And keep in mind, this man's father was assassinated in June of 68. His uncle was assassinated in November of 63. If anybody ought to be granted Secret Service protection, it ought to be him. This isn't, yeah, I agree with you. This is not done. Donald Trump is a long way from home right now. A long way from home. And even if he gets back to the presidency, he's going to have to watch his back from every conceivable angle possible. I absolutely agree with that. But when I say life insurance, basically what I mean is this. Keep in mind, Donald Trump was attempted to be removed 2 times by impeachment. Okay? One time by an assassin's bullet. Well, that had nothing to do with the deep state. Do we know that? Oh, now you're just being a conspiracy theorist. Look, I'm being told that a 20-year-old kid climbed up on, bear crawled across a roof and managed to get off 5 shots inside of a perimeter that should have been protected by the Secret Service. I got any number of questions about how that happened. How did the kid get inside the perimeter and nobody saw him? Or let me rephrase that. Law enforcement never saw him doing it. How did he climb up on the building? How did he manage to park so far away? Again, walk across the perimeter. No one saw him. I got a whole bunch of questions related to this that don't make any sense. Or at least the answers I'm being told so far don't make any sense. So am I totally convinced that this kid acted alone? Nope. Sorry. Yeah. And that's what I'd like to think I'm doing here. I'm asking all the same questions that everybody else is. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Because I really do believe after what happened on Saturday and Donald Trump calling on Mayorkas this morning to give RFK Secret Service protection, I think that's what pushed, the assassination attempt aside, I think Donald Trump calling for it is what pushed Mayorkas to finally do it. If he didn't do it, if he didn't give RFK protection in light of what happened on Saturday, everybody would see what was going on. Yeah, a lot of people were suspicious of Trump in 2016. Absolutely. But anyway, my point is this. Trump needs life insurance. And I don't mean monetary life insurance. I mean, he needs somebody that on their face scares the deep state as much as the deep state may otherwise be afraid of Donald Trump. Vance might just be that insurance. And again, I understand everybody's worry about, I understand the questions that are surrounding Vance. Okay? The previous comments about Trump, everything else. I get it. I really get it. And believe me, having been burned over the years, I come to this with understandable caution. I like to think. But if Vance winds up being the real deal that a lot of people think he is, then baby, strap in, because this could get real good. The Democrat Party is right on the edge of putting themselves out in the political wilderness for the next 10 years. I'm serious. They really are. They have shown God and the world how lunatic they are. And lunatic, I mean this. That party has been taken over by the crazies. Okay? The Democrat Party has been taken over by absolute crazy. Zippy over on Rumble with another Rumble rant. Nothing is impossible except a liberal keeping an open mind. Tee. Dude, you ain't wrong. You are not wrong at all, okay? Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. The Democrats have been taken over by crazy. I mean, on the issues, practically everything Joe Biden can sit there and try and, put a good and brave face on everything they're doing. But yeah, that party's been taken over by crazy. And Trump, and honestly, I mean, and I'll be happy to take anybody's comment on this. I don't get it. I would love to know, and maybe I need to start talking to more liberals. I don't know, but I don't get it. What is it about this man that just absolutely makes these people 7 shades of crazy? I don't get it. I do not understand what it is. I don't understand what it is about Donald Trump that makes these people go so unhinged. I mean, George W. Bush, okay, Texas cowboy swagger, there's a lot of things you can make, but not like Trump. I have never seen anything quite like Donald Trump that makes the left, progressives, whatever you want to call it, just go as crazy as they do when it comes to Donald John Trump. I don't get it. Zippy says, neoliberalism and progressivism is slavery and communism worships the state as God. True. And that may be part of what it is. Donald John Trump does not believe that government is God. He can't be controlled. He isn't beholden to any of them, and the left or the right, and that terrifies them. Yeah, and here's the thing that terrifies me more. And I'm not saying that he will do everything that I would hope that he would do in 2025 if Trump wins. But here's the truly frightening part for the Democrat Party and progressives and liberals and globalists all over this globe. If Trump goes in a second term, baby, he's got nothing to lose. I mean, look, can I sit here and plumb the depths of Donald Trump's mind? Absolutely not. Okay? But I will say this. You've tried to shut him up. You've tried to remove him from office. Not once, but twice. And the second time you did it, he wasn't even in office anymore. You've tried to silence him. You've tried to impeach him. You have tried to bankrupt him. And now someone tried to kill him. If Donald John Trump gets back into the White House January 20th, 2025, baby, he ain't got nothing to lose. Kennedy assassination files, declassify everything. Open it up. Let everybody look at it. Roswell, New Mexico, what the hell? Let's do it. Open it up. Let everybody look at it. 9/11 files, open it up. Let everybody look at it. Let everybody see everything. Pardon Edward Snowden, go for it. Pardon every one of the January 6 people that are being held in jail, do it. Trump has nothing to lose, and the American people have everything to gain. Yeah, he is a threat to their way of life. That is a threat to their way of life, a threat to their money, a threat to the system that they have designed to enrich themselves over the interests of the American people. Oh, yeah. And that's why The Democrats are right. I mean, they're doing it to themselves. That's the part that cracks you up the most. They're doing it to themselves. They are right on the edge of walking themselves right out into the political wilderness for a good 10 years, maybe. I mean, I'm here, and I haven't got it pulled up because, like I said, my computer went zany on me right before we were going to go on live stream. But there are Democrats. There's a story out in Axios. They have resigned themselves to the probability that Trump wins a second term. And not only wins a second term, there's rumors going around Washington that the damage may be so bad that Trump sweeps in so many Republicans in 24 that they ain't no recovering it in 26. Okay? No recovering it at all. Zippy with another Rumble rant. Thank you very much, by the way. Another way to see it, progressivism places morality in the hands of experts and authority figures. If the figure in question do not revere authority, they are treated like a demon, hence Trump derangement syndrome. That's a great way of putting it, by the way. Donald John Trump does not believe that government is God. One of the great things about the American people, and this goes to Zippy's point, and y'all are bringing this out in various ways too. One of the great things about the American people is that they're, even after all this time and the dumbing down of the American people, by the way, there is still that wonderful ingrained streak of skepticism. We still question our government. Now, not as many American citizens as should question it, but there's still a very healthy, hi, I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. Help me do what? What are you going to do for me I can't do for myself? That wonderful ingrained skepticism that when someone tells you the sky is blue, you walk outside and you look up and make sure. That's what's still there. And you know what? I've got a feeling that skeptical streak of the American people is maybe on its way to a very healthy comeback. By the way, did you guys see that Morning Joe has been pulled off the air this week? If you haven't seen this, if you have not seen this yet, let me put this up here for you. Who was it that had this? I think it was Fox News. Hang on a second. Let me find this real fast. Are they doing the roll call of the states tonight? Are they doing it right now? Well, crap. I thought they were going to do that Tuesday night. Hang on a minute. Yeah, here it is. Hang on. I just found it. Found the story I'm looking for. Yep, here it is. Talking about Morning Joe, check this out. MSNBC yanks anti-Trump.
Sometimes, Kaylee, the best thing to do is to say nothing at all.
Stop it.
And apparently this is happening over at MSNBC.
Shut up, Fox. I'll let you talk when I want you to talk, daggone it. Anyway, MSNBC yanks anti-Trump Morning Joe off air following the assassination attempt. MSNBC's flagship morning show will not... they're going to be back on Tuesday morning. Oh, well. I thought they're going to be out all week. But okay, let's check this out. MSNBC pulled its flagship morning show, Morning Joe, from airing on Monday in the wake of the assassination attempt on former President Trump. Viewers who tuned in expecting to see the staunchly anti-Trump program hosted by Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski were greeted instead by continued NBC News special reporting on the attempt on Trump's life on Saturday. A spokesman for Morning Joe said will resume Tuesday. According to CNN, a person familiar with the decision said it was made in part, now listen to this, this will crack you up, over the fear that one of the show's many guests over a 4-hour broadcast, quote, might make an inappropriate comment on live television that could be used to assail the program and network as a whole. An MSNBC spokesperson vehemently denied CNN's report. According to CNN's report, Cesar Conde, chairman of MSNBC Universal News Group, decided to yank the show in consultation with MSNBC President Rashida Jones, as well as the show's co-hosts. Oh my gosh, this is hysterical. Not only did NBC News and MSNBC agree to it, apparently Joe and Mika did, because Joe and Mika realized their guests are as crazy as they are. That's great. Oh my God. That's awesome. Well, that's just it. They might, I don't think those two could keep themselves civil. Not there. Well, now that's possible too. Maybe Joe and Mika were like, Trump. Maybe, I don't know. But tomorrow, and you know what's going to happen, right? You know what is going to happen. You know that Joe and Mika, they're not going to be able to help themselves. They're going to say something. Oh my goodness. Well, tell you what. Tell you what. Bookmark that. Yeah, I need to. Couple of other things I want to show you guys, and then I'm going to let you guys step off, and then I'm going to step off because got to get ready for tonight, or try to anyway. If nothing else, I got to grab a bite to eat. But I got to find this to show you the kind of love that is there for Donald Trump right now. Actually, it's always been there. Let me get this pulled up because I think you guys are going to want to see this. Sorry, folks. I'm working my way through this. Yeah, here it is. This is the first one I want to show you. I think you guys are going to get a kick out of this. This was yesterday. Planes flying overhead in New York City with a special message. You come for the king, you best not miss. You missed. Trump 2024. And if you haven't seen this yet, this will crack you up. Yeah, here's the plane. Let me back this up. Yeah. When you come for the king, you best not miss. You missed. Trump 24. I'm going to drop this in chat on both sides because I think you guys would get a kick out of this. There it is on Rumble. And there it is on the YouTube side. Okay. One more thing in that vein, because I think you guys would enjoy this. And this comes, let me find it real fast. Where's my girl? Hang on. I'm looking for something in particular. She posted this the other day. I'm just looking for one thing. Come on, girl. I know you put this out here. Where is it? Sorry about this, folks. Like I said, my computer was all set to go this morning or this afternoon, and then, yep. Come on. Tell me you're here. Tell me that I can get to you fast. Nope, got to do this another way. Hang on. I want to leave you guys with something that I think you'll get a kick out of. Oh, yeah, here it is. I just found it. Let me set this up. One of my favorite commentators from across the ocean, Katie Hopkins, that great British broad. And I use the term broad with affection, not out of any disrespect, because this lady's got more brass than a London fire engine. Folks, I want you to hear what she's hearing when she's walking around New York City. You'll get a kick out of this. Check this out.
One of the things that's really obvious to me, speaking to my American friends here, is that sense of nervousness now. Things seem uncertain and people feel, what could have happened and how serious that was. But I just wanted to say three very positive things. Number one, if you're going to assassinate someone, you better do it first time and you better get it right. It's why the Russians are so good at this stuff. You end up face planting into concrete, or you end up zipped up in a North Face bag in your own car. You don't get a second easy shot at this. That's like shooting at deer. You don't get a second shot. Although I buy the Alex Jones theory that they're not going to stop anytime soon. Number two, Trump gets to rock up at the RNC like Muhammad Ali. He is now Thatcher in Brighton. He is Reagan. He is the time until the end of time. There is nothing you're going to be able to criticize about Trump. And all that other noise, all the stuff about the courts, all of that, that's gone away. Because no one can talk about that stuff anymore. And finally, I was just with some black guys who are here in New York from Chicago. And their view is none of them were going to vote before because they can't stand any politicians, but now they are. Now they're going to turn up. And the quote from the black guy in Chicago was, he's more black than the rest of us. So please bear in mind at this time, there are three very positive things that's keep in your heart. God bless Donald J. Trump and God bless the United States of America.
Thought you guys would want it. Yeah, I thought you guys want to hear this. I'm going to drop this again on both sides, on Rumble and on YouTube. Yeah, she's my British broad. Love Katie. She is just totally awesome. All right, there you go, folks. Okay, tell you what. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast. My name is Brian Trippett on the Front Porch Conservative. We're going to be doing, like I said, we're going to be doing live streams this week every day, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and hopefully tomorrow, prayers to the almighty computer god, whoever that is. Hopefully tomorrow my computer does not go belly up on me 5 minutes before the show and just take out everything that I plan on talking about. We're going to get into some more. Tonight, we will be back here 7 p.m. Eastern for live stream coverage of the Republican National Convention. We're going to be analyzing some of the speeches, sharing news. I invite all of you to come hang out with us. Thank you for hanging out with us today, despite all the technological problems. Zippy, M169, Gypsy, up in Connecticut, Tesla, all of y'all. I love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. We're going to be back here 7 o'clock Eastern tonight for our first night of covering the GOP convention from Milwaukee. Love you guys. See you then. Lots of news to talk about. The Veep pick is out there. And here we go. Remember, it's faster horses, younger lovers, older whiskey, more money. We'll see you back here 7 o'clock tonight.